Hello, I'm Derek John Johnson. Today's video, I'm going to be talking about DDLC and why I believe some people have missed the point of Monika's character, at least one of the points. Also, this goes without saying, this video will have spoilers for Doki Doki Literature Club, so don't watch if you actually want to experience the story yourself, surprise-free. So, with the years passing, I've seen a lot of people kind of treat Monika as like this wonderful best girl that loves you and you just fall. The thing is, I don't think that's what she's meant to be. In the game's plot and world, she's clearly an antagonist. One who has a very understandable reason and motivation for what she's doing, sure, but still clearly a very evil character. Although sympathetic and not without her positive points. I want to make one thing perfectly clear. This isn't to guilt anyone who likes Monika. I like her myself. I'm just talking about what I think she was meant to represent and why I don't think we were meant to see her as like this wonderful waifu. For starters, I want to talk about what Monika did in the story of DDLC. The story starts out as your simple old dating sim. Right before things begin to get really dark. Basically, your best friend commits suicide due to what, from your perspective, is severe depression and the main character somewhat neglecting her or giving her love she didn't feel like she deserved. After that, the events kind of repeat, but without Sayori, and with things beginning to get creepy. Characters begin to act extremely odd. They begin to turn on each other. They begin to have full-fledged, straight-up psychotic episodes and mental breakdowns and become completely obsessed with you. Well, at the end, you find out that Monika, kind of, sort of, is actually a self-aware AI who knows that she's in a game and has fallen in love with not main character-kun, but you, the player. And due to that, she began to hack the other characters, her friends, who she's known for a while, files, causing them to completely go off the deep end, eventually committing suicide because they couldn't take the effects of this anymore. All except for Natsuki, which she pretty cruelly deletes. It's watching Natsuki die a painful and horrible death right before her eyes. Eventually deleting the whole world and kidnapping you, the player, forcing you to stay with her forever and ever and ever. Basically making you her boyfriend and sticking you in this room. But the thing is, despite how evil what she does is, she actually comes across as sympathetic, as, while she is a self-aware AI, she still was designed to not only be in love with the player, but pretty much had to know that no matter what, she'd never get a happy ending. She was going to be forced to just stand there on the sidelines while you chose either one of the three girls, leaving her alone forever. She was also forced to live in basically this world of a prison where she knew that she was the only real thing and everything else was just computer programming for her entire life. Also, it's pretty well noted that whenever the game's off, she gets trapped in this horrible screaming void of light random lights and distorted sounds, according to her. And she basically does somewhat use this to try to make you fall in love with her, to try to keep you from leaving her. But here's the thing, possessiveness, forcing you to stay even if you don't want to. These are all hallmarks of an extremely unhealthy and I'd say even abusive relationship. And one of the lines is her basically somewhat flippantly mocking Sayori. Are you talking about how she must have suffered because she didn't hang herself correctly? But even with that, Monica does do a good job at not only being genuinely frightening with the reason why she does what she does and how obsessive she is with the main character and how she confuses this for actual fucking love. Well, player is obsessed with the player. But the length she's willing to go to get what she wants. But sympathetic as loneliness, feeling like you're the only one in your world that actually matters or actually has any sort of capacity to be cared, doesn't have any sort of capacity to be cared about. These are all really relatable feelings. Granted, does not in any way, shape, or form justify what she did to the other girls. But how manipulative she can be. In order to finish the game, you have to delete her character file. After this, she will begin to guilt trip you, telling you how you're disgusting, evil, selfish, going on a tirade about how you never loved her and how you can't even experience love. Only to somewhat slip and say, I'm sorry, I love you. You must be so wonderful to put up with someone like me. And then there's the ending. Oh boy, this ending is in the normal ending, which you're probably going to get your first time. She basically Sayori tries to become the new Monika, and Monika basically ends up deleting her, going on one, leaving behind a letter about how there's no hope or happiness in this place, and how it's just pain and suffering in here, for deleting the world, leaving you with one last thing, a love song she wrote. But I feel like we were supposed to have this sort of Stockholm syndrome for Monika. Like, Monika was meant to be a basically inversion of the normal dating sims. Instead of the normal generic protagonist going after one of many disposable love interests and getting your happy ending, you're one of many disposable love interests being somebody else's happy ending, only for that happy ending to be impossible and for everything to just be permanently taken away. Here's the thing, I don't fault people for liking Monika. She genuinely is a very fascinating and somewhat easy to sympathize with character. But for me personally, Monika is not the best girl of DDLC because, again, I don't think this is a story that's meant to have a best girl. What's a favorite day? Bye. Sorry if I didn't explain things super well.